All right, what's up, everyone? Here we are. Now, what I'm seeing on this hole, I'd really like to kind of get it up as safely as possible and just kind of create this straighter wind angle here. So I'm thinking something along the lines of this. It looks like we can just make it there with Kingmaker, but I'm going to go Royal Ball. I don't know if I can go full on the topspin, but I'd like to. I know I'd like to. Probably going to dial that back just a little bit. We'll use a Epoch 5. This is going to be max Epoch 5. 5 rings. Almost 9 rings here. Plus a great ball. It's a little bit of an overplay because we're going max overpower. Also considering wind effect. But we went essentially max Epoch 5. It looks like Epoch 6 may be okay as long as you don't block it out to the left there. I wanted to rather be safe than sorry on that very first attempt. I do think you could go a little bit more towards max. However, if you do great ball off to the left or not consider enough wind effect or something, and you end up getting, the more left that you get there, that overpower at max is probably going to end up starting to cost you a little bit. So you do got to be careful there. But that's more or less what I'd probably consider. And here's why. Best case scenario, this guy pulls this off. But he's going to give himself a crazy side needle again. So I don't necessarily think that there's any need to go over here. So much better, in my opinion, to get a straighter needle, and we can essentially get this wind effect down. So we are going to try to find a spot where it might not be too all over the place. Very tough to do. It looks like I'm actually really having trouble finding that spot. Thinking something along the lines of this. You can see with what I'm doing with my wind effect as well. We are going to be pulling towards max a bit. At least 12 rings for normal in this situation. I'm going to go, what's that, 15 and a half maybe? Maybe I was a little light on my wind effect. Nope, doesn't look all perfect ball. Maybe goes in. You can see that was about 15 and a half rings there. Keep in mind, I think where I ended up was maybe, I don't know, I wasn't really looking, but I'm assuming somewhere in the neighborhood of +7. And it probably maxes out at about +13. So, I'm about probably 5-6 yards. Probably about 5 yards, I would imagine, from the max line. So I need to make sure that I drive it at least that far to make sure that I don't need to go into sniper. But also keep in mind with what I was doing with the ball guide offset. Had I hit a perfect ball, I'm imagining it's at least getting pretty tight on that hole. It might not go in, but it's probably within a cup. Either way, right or left of the hole. So, keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, with how intense that wind is, that's kind of, like I mentioned, I'd typically probably go somewhere in the 12 to 13 rings at max. And you can find that within this app here. I had a 7, right? What was my wind? It was a 10.5, 12.3. So that's what I would have been going originally. However, you got to keep in mind with the more intense needle, we're going to kind of over adjust. It's going to be kind of equivalent to more or less this, using the wind arrow, something along the lines of this, 15 and a half rings. So it kind of just shows you, you can see with the notebook tool there. Also keep in mind, it's technically a power 4. So I would, typically I would probably use the slider on top of that. So it would be this, and then slider positioning up here, something along the lines of this is more or less what I adjusted in terms of actual reality. But you can see, kind of just doing it in my head and just roughing it, it gets me in the ballpark. So that's more or less the way that I, tend to do it. But, when looking at the tournament, you probably do want to, use this tool to kind of make your own adjustments off of what I'm giving you. If you say, okay, Zach was here at, 93% club, give or take, and we're talking about where I actually pulled and finished to. You can see that adjustment finishes very close to, 90, 5 yards from max, whatever that is. And considering that it's at 148-ish yardage there, because we're looking at 10% on top of the normal standard 135. So, we're about 5% less than max, 4% less than max on that. So, good luck with, you should be able to get that pretty dialed in the more that you see it. So good luck with that hole. Keep in mind things like wind effect as well are still in play. So you'll see that I'm keeping that ball guide through the hole and also pointed to the right, especially towards max club. The more you're towards max, the more wind effect that you're going to have to consider. So you have to kind of gauge that ball guide offset dependent upon, okay, I'm here towards max, towards min. Yeah, I need to scale it back a little bit. Keep things like that in mind. Good luck, and I'll see you on the next one.